Hello, Griffins. My name is Mike. I serve as the Education Abroad Advisor with the Center for International Programs. If you're thinking about studying abroad, please visit our website at www.uofg.ca/CIP. You can also follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Our Instagram handle is CIP_Guelph. With me today, I am pleased to welcome Casandra. Casandra is a Bachelor of Science student specializing in marine biology who recently participated in an exchange to the University of the South Pacific in Fiji. So I've been to Fiji myself and fell in love with the Pacific Islander culture. I got to experience their lovos. I learned about their mekis. I even bought my own Sulu. So when you think about your time in Fiji, was there anything about Fijian culture that stood out for you, Cassandra?
Honestly, I'd have to say that Fijians were the friendliest people I've ever met. So that really stood out to me. As soon as I got to campus, everyone was so welcoming. They don't get a lot of exchange students, so they wanted to get to know us, and that was awesome for me. So that really stood out, just the welcoming atmosphere.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I found Fijians to be very inviting, very warm, and very laid back for sure. So I would imagine that as a marine biology student, in particular, being able to study marine biology in Fiji would be a dream come true. What was that like for you?
So it was quite different for me from the atmosphere at Guelph, mostly because in Fiji it was focused on tropical systems. So I really enjoyed that, and it was really hands-on. The lab equipment wasn't the most up to date, but that actually made it more fun, I think, because I got to learn all new techniques. We actually got to go out in during the lab period on the boat, and we got to do snorkel trips and reef surveying. So that was awesome for me, something I've never done. And I think that really stood out as something I liked about studying marine biology in Fiji. We also learned a lot about marine pollution, and that's something that I'm very interested in, and that's something they don't really offer here at Guelph. We do a lot of freshwater stuff and a bit of marine, but the focus was all marine in Fiji, so I love that.
So, when you think broadly about climate change or conservation efforts, how has your perspective changed or has it shifted since studying in Fiji?
In the South Pacific, they really see the initial effects of climate change. So here in Canada, it's not as prevalent. We don't experience too much, but places like the Canada and the US are actually contributing a lot to climate change and pollution. So I'd say in Fiji, they're really focused on trying to be environmentally conscious and doing whatever they can to prevent the effects. So I actually helped. We planted some mangroves and stuff like that. So that was really cool for me. And that helps them with the rising sea levels, and it helps mitigate flooding on the coastline. So that was really awesome.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. I know
Yeah.
for a lot of exchange students, another benefit are is that social aspect of studying abroad and being able to explore different parts of the country. Did you do any weekend road trips or have some memorable adventures in addition to the study?
Yeah. So when I got to Fiji, I initially met, I think there was about 12 other international students that were from like Australia mostly. There are also a couple Americans, a girl from Japan, and we all kind of hung out together. So every weekend we'd choose somewhere new, and we would or take like a private shuttle to a hostel or something. My favorite place, we went to a small private island called Alluvia. So that was the best part for me. We stayed in bureaus, like private bureaus, and we got to snorkel right off the beach, and the reef was amazing. Most fish I've ever seen in my life, like in one spot. and they were actually working on replanting coral there. So we got to learn about those projects, and they had like a dive shop. And yeah, that was the best weekend for us because it was basically our own private island, and it was super affordable too. So we loved that. Other than that, we went to the north part of the main island, which was an eco lodge that we stayed at. I really like that part too. We saw like the bioluminescence at night, which is something I've always wanted to see. So we like took kayaks out in the pitch black, and we jumped in the water, and it was just glowing all around us. That was a highlight too.
Sounds amazing. So it sounds like obviously Fiji is a magical place, but it's also very far from home. Did you have any apprehensions or concerns traveling? Maybe it's your first time traveling or traveling as a female. How did you overcome any of those concerns in your journey?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of traveling with my family, but never alone. So that was a little bit for me just because I didn't know how things would all work out at the airports and stuff. But I think a good thing to do is just look at like maps of the airports, like what terminal you're gonna be in, just to like make sure you're okay. I just stop in LAX times, so that's a huge airport. So I think I felt a lot more comfortable just like looking it up beforehand. It was also kind of nerve wracking being the only student from 12, just because like there wasn't much that I knew about the university going into it. So that was cool to be the first person too, because now I can tell everyone about my experience.
Now I know that we were able to connect you with a Fijian exchange student who was actually studying at Guelph. Was that helpful at the time?
Yeah, it's hard with the time difference, just like to communicate with people in Fiji. They're also kind of on island time too, but yeah, Andrianta was awesome, and she gave me some info, and then I met up with her when I had gone to Fiji as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. So, career perspective, how do you think your exchange will help you in the long run?
So I think in the long run, going on exchange to Fiji was really beneficial for me just because I got to meet professors over there and they study what I want to study. So they do tropical coastal ecosystems, and that's something I really want to do when I'm done here at Guelph. And I could also see if I liked it too, because it's hard to know if you're going to like something before you try it. So getting out there in the field in Fiji and actually, surveying the reef was good, and I know I love it now, so I know that that's what I want to do.
So, in my role, I often have the good fortune of speaking to students when they come back from their experience, and they often tell me that they found their exchange to be very transformational in some form. Um, for you, how do you think your exchange has allowed you to grow either personally or culturally from your experience?
Honestly, I'd have to say that it helped a lot with my confidence. I was always pretty confident, but traveling alone is stressful, and I was always worried about meeting friends, like if it would work out for me, because I'm a little more introverted. But then going on exchange really brought me out of my comfort zone, and I think that was really good for me. And now I can say that I'm very much more confident in meeting new people and trying new things. So that's the great thing Fiji did for me.
I think it's always good to kind of get out of your comfort zone, and travel certainly allows for that. So I know that we're wrapping up here. What advice would you give to other science students who are thinking about studying abroad?
I would say take courses you're interested in, not necessarily like try to take your required classes. What I did was I saved up my electives so that I could take whatever I wanted on exchange. And I think that was really beneficial. So that's kind of something, if you can do that, if you can take electives on exchange, I'd recommend it. Then you're not as stressed out too, I feel like. I still tried really hard in my classes, but I don't know, it just kind of makes it a little more relaxed, I feel like. So I would recommend electives too. I took marine biology, marine pollution, and a geography class. So I mostly took the geography class because I had a field trip. So that's something to like look for classes with field trips.
I think that's a great point. When you go on exchange, you obviously have an opportunity to take classes that might not be available here at Guelph. So that's certainly one of the benefits. So thank you, Casandra. I'm glad to see that you had an amazing time in Fiji. Your stories personally make me want to get on a plane once again. So if you are interested in study abroad, or if you do have more questions, feel free to reach out at goabroad@uofguelph.ca. You can always attend an info session, and applications will be due at the end of January. So once again, please visit our website, and if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you, and we'll talk soon.